Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today guys, we are reading chapter 6 of, I was about to say Toby's story, but we are reading chapter 6 of Racing in the Rain, My Life as a Dog, by Garth Steen. Chapter 6. Let's get started and dive right in. Chapter 6. Her name was Eve, and at first I resented how she changed our lives. I resented the attention Denny paid to her small hands and slender body. The way he gazed into her soft green eyes, which peered out from under stylish strands of straight blonde hair. Did I envy under stylish strands or straight blonde hair? Did I envy her engaging smile? Perhaps I did. For she was a person unlike me. She was well-groomed, unlike me. She was everything I wasn't. I wasn't for extended periods, without a haircut or a bath. For instance, she bathed every day and had a special person do nothing else but color her hair. My nails grew too long and scratched the wood floor. She frequently attended to her nails with sticks and clippers and polishes to make sure they were the proper shape and size. Her attention to every detail of her appearance was reflected in her personality as well. She was an incredible organizer, constantly making lists and jotting down notes of things to be done. Our weekends Our weekends were filled with trips to Home Depot or waiting in the line of the disposal and recycling station in Georgetown. I didn't like painting rooms and fixing doorknobs and washing screens, but Denny liked it apparently, because the more she gave him to do, the more quickly he completed his task. Then he collected his award, which usually included a lot of nuzzling and, oh my gosh, kissing. Ew! Soon after, she moved into our apartment, then were married in a small wedding ceremony. I attended along with a group of their closest friends and Eve's immediate family. Denny didn't have any brothers or sisters to invite, and he explained his parents' absence simply by saying that they didn't travel well. The wedding took place at a charming little beach cottage on the Whidbey Island. Eve's parents made it clear to all involved that the house was owned by close friends of theirs. I was allowed to participate only under strict rules. I was not to roam free on the beach, as I might track sand onto the expensive mahogany floors, and I was forced to do my business in a very why can I not say this word? Specific location next to the recycling containers. Upon our return from Whidbey, I noticed that Eve moved through our apartment with a greater sense of ownership. She was much bolder in her actions to move or replace things, towels, linens, and even furniture. She had entered our lives and changed everything around, and yet while I was unhappy with her intrusion, I think in like intruder, I think. There was something about her that prevented me from being really angry with her. I believe that 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 thing was her swollen belly. True. I was very jealous of the attention Eve lavished on her unborn baby, but looking back, I realized I had never given her a reason to give that same attention to me. Perhaps this is my regret. I loved how she was when she was pregnant. And yet I knew I could never be the source of her affection in that way because I could never be her child. How can a dog be a person's child? She devoted herself to the baby before it was even born. She touched it regularly through her tightly stretched skin. She sang to it, wow, and danced with it to music she played on the stereo. She learned to make it move around by drinking orange juice. Okay, that's weird. Which she did frequently. She once asked if I wanted to know what it felt like, and I did. So she held my face against her belly after she had drunk the juice, and I felt it move. It was hard for me to imagine exactly what was going on behind the magic curtain. But I knew that what was inside of her was separate from her and had a will of its own. I admired the female sex, the life makers. It must be amazing to have a body that can carry an entire creature inside. I mean, other than a tapeworm. Well, what's a tapeworm? Which I've had was something she had made. She and Jenny had made it together. I wished at the time that the baby would look like me. Just I remember the day the baby arrived. I had just reached adulthood, 2 years by calendar count. Jenny was in Daytona, Florida, for the drive of his career. He had spent the entire year contacting sponsors, begging, pleading, and hustling. One day, he got lucky and found the right person in the right hotel lobby to say, "You've got guts. You've got guts, son. Call me tomorrow." Thus, he found his long-sought sponsor dollars and was able to buy a seat in Porsche 993 for the 24-hour race at Daytona. So, I think Denny's racing a 24-hour race. That's a whole entire day. At Daytona. Endurance racing is not for the meek, for drivers each spending 6 hours behind the wheel of a loud, powerful race car is an exercise in determination. 24 hours of Daytona is unpredictable as it exciting. It is exciting that Denny was presented with a chance to drive in the same year that his daughter would be born was one of those considerants. What was open to interpretation, Eve was dismayed by the unfortunate timing of events. Danny celebrated the great opportunity and the feeling that he had everything he could possibly ask for. Still, the contractions and called the midwives or weaves. They came and invaded our home and quickly took charge. Later that evening, as Danny was driving at the Tana, Eve stood bent over the bed with two round ladies who helped her by holding her arms. Then, with the monstrous bellow that seemed to last an hour, squirted a little wet blob that wriggled spastically. Then cried out. The ladies helped Eve into her bed and rested the tiny purple thing on her chest until the baby's searching mouth found Eve's breast and began to feed. Could I have a minute alone? Eve started. Of course, one of the ladies said, moving to the door. Come with us, puppy, the other lady said to me on her way out. No, Eve stopped him. He can stay. I could stay. Despite myself, I felt proud to be included in Eve's inner circle. The two ladies bustled out, and I watched in fascination as Eve suckled her new babe. After a few minutes, my attention drifted from the baby's first meal to Eve's face, and I saw that she was crying, and I wondered happy tears. She let her free hand dangle to the beside her fingers near my muzzle. I hesitated. I didn't want to presume she was beckoning me, but then her fingers wiggled and her eyes caught mine, and I knew she was calling me. I bumped her hand with my nose. She lifted her fingers to the crown of my head and scratched, still crying, her baby still nursing. I know, I told him to go, she said to me, referring to Denny. I know that I insisted he to go. I know tears ran down her cheeks, but so I wish he were here. I had no idea what to do, but I knew not to move. She needed me there. Will you promise to always protect her? She asked. She wasn't asking me. She was asking Denny, and I was merely Denny's substitute. Still, I felt the obligation. I understood that as a dog, I could never be as connected as I truly desired. Yet I realized at that moment I could be something else. I could provide something of need to the people around me. I could comfort Eve when Jenny was away. I could protect Eve's baby. And while I would always want more, in a sense, I had found a place to begin the next day. Jenny came home from Daytona, Florida, unhappy. His mood immediately changed when he held his little girl, whom they named Zoe. Not after me, but after Eve's grandmother. Do you see my little angel ends? Ends? He asked me. Did I see her? I practically birthed her. What? Danny was very careful around Eve's parents. Maxwell and Trish had been in the house since Zoe was born, taking care of their daughter and their new baby granddaughter. I began calling them the twins because they looked very much alike. They had the same shade of dyed hair. Plus, They also wore matching outfits, khaki pants, or polyester slacks with sweaters or polo shirts. When one of them wore sunglasses, the other did too. The same with Bermuda shorts and tall socks pulled up to their knees, and because they both smelled of chemical plastics and hair products for the movement they arrived, the twins had been criticizing Eve for having her baby at home. They told her she was endangering the baby's welfare, and that in these modern times it was irresponsible to give birth anywhere but in the best of the hospitals with the most expensive of all doctors. Eve tried to explain to them that statistics showed exactly to the opposite was true for a healthy mother. Also, that any signs of distress would have been, but the twins didn't understand, unfortunately, for Eve, attention away from her faults and focus on his. As they stood in the kitchen, Jenny told Maxwell about the disappointing results of the race of Daytona. That's a lot of bad luck for the male twin. For the male twin said to Jenny as they stood in the kitchen. Maxwell was gloating. I could hear in his voice. Do you get any of your money back? Trish asked. Jenny was very unhappy. I wasn't sure why until Mike came over later that night. He and Jenny opened their beers together. It turned out Jenny had been going to take the third stint driving at Daytona. The car had been running well, everything going great. They were in second place, and Jenny would easily take the lead as the sunlight faded and the night driving began. Until the guy who had the second turn driving slammed the car into a wall on turn 6. He crashed it when Daytona prototype, a much faster car, was overtaking. First rule of racing: never move aside to let someone pass. Make him pass you. But patch on the track. When he did, the rear end snapped speed. The car shattered into a million little pieces. The driver was unhurt, but the race was over for the team. And Jenny, who had spent a year working for this moment, found himself standing by side of the racetrack, watching the opportunity of his lifetime get dragged away by a tow truck. He hadn't had a chance to sit in it for a single racing lap. And you don't get any of your money back, Mike said after Jenny had finished telling this story. I don't care about any of that, Jenny said. I should have been there. The baby came early. You can't know that what's going to happen before it happens. Yes, I can, Jenny said. If I'm any good, I can. Anyway, Mike said, lifting his beer bottle. To Zoe. To Zoe, Jenny echoed. To Zoe, I said to myself, whom I will always protect. Chapter 7, guys. That was a very good chapter. Also, the dog said to Zoe, I will always protect her. And guys, I hope you enjoyed this chapter. And guys, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment all down below. And I hope you enjoyed this chapter. And hope you're enjoying your day and your summer. And so guys, bye. See you next time.